this is really important.
Okay.
I want to keep all that stuff.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
All right, we try to run a tight ship around here. It's 4:01, so we're going to get ready to begin here within seconds. Done with one, on with the next. Well, welcome everyone. So good to see so many familiar faces from around the state. We always look forward to our quarterly IEDC meetings with all of our board members, but I will confess, maybe that's because it's at the end of the year and we're trying to land planes and the holidays are right around the corner, but I will confess we are really ready for this fourth quarter IEDC board meeting, and we have just concluded our executive session and are ready to get right at it. In doing so, we do have a quorum present, and/or we've got some folks on the telephone, so we can move forward. The notice of our meeting this afternoon has been properly distributed and posted in accordance with Indiana's open door law. And I'd like to thank Butler University for hosting us here today, for not only hosting this fourth quarter board meeting, but also for hosting Central Indiana's SBDC office here at the School of Business here at Butler, and for all that Butler does to nurture and foster a lot of collaboration, not just in our capital city, but around the world, and then the students that are truly part of Indiana's future. And having said that, I'd like to ask President Jim Danko if he would have some words for us before we launch into our meeting.
Absolutely. Thank you, Governor, and welcome everyone here. We are honored to host this rather significant IEDC meeting here on our beautiful Indiana campus. Allow me to thank and recognize the dedicated and talented leadership, including Governor Eric-Holcomb and Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers. Special recognition, obviously, to all of the board of directors that are here today, as well as the staff. So welcome to Butler. I want to thank IEDC for the important work that they're doing here in the state, attracting and supporting new business development, creating new jobs, and furthering our legacy as one of the top states in the nation for business. Certainly, the readi-grants will help accelerate those efforts. Butler values its partnership with IEDC and is committed to supporting its important work, especially in the education and development of the state's workforce. Perhaps similar to the state of Indiana, a few years ago, our Board of Trustees established a separate entity within Butler, which we have dubbed Butler Ventures. The objective was to provide a platform from which Butler could develop and innovate educational models and talent solutions, including through the establishment of our own transformation lab and new division of professional studies, efforts that are in close alignment with both employer and learner needs. Our new strategy is focused on significantly expanding the pool of learners that Butler will serve from an access perspective, as well as a lifelong learning and upskilling perspective. The Butler University vision is to boldly innovate and expansively educate. I might highlight the prominent E words embedded within our vision, indicating that as we pursue it, we will support the vision of IEDC as Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers has articulated and expressed through the 5 E's of your 5-point strategy. Again, I am grateful for all of what IEDC and the state of Indiana do, and we're honored that Butler could host you today. Governor?
Thank you, Mr. President. Moving on, the next order of our business will be to review the minutes that you have. We sent them out to you prior to the meeting. If you could take a look at those, we need to approve those from our last meeting, which was September 17th of 2021. You've got that copy. Does anyone have any comments for the good of the order in regards to those minutes? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented to you.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. Moving right along, we will get to our regular order of business and to our committee reports. Joel, you want to give us an update on the Audit and Finance Committee?
Mr. Chairman. Today, the Audit and Finance Committee received updates on the fiscal 2021 audit. BKD, and they had a representative there, presented the financial statements audit and the corresponding management audit. No material weaknesses were identified in the financial statements, which we have a clean audit. Congratulations to management on that. There was, however, a significant deficiency reported on the financial reporting as indicated by the independent auditor. Thank you. I won't start over. As indicated by the independent auditor, the financial reporting did not result in timely reconciliation of certain items. And I think what has to be kept in mind is that because of the makeup of the IEDC, it's pretty much unique, and we're on cash accounting, and we have to go to accrual accounting, and we have to go to GAAP accounting. So that presents some tough issues for management to deal with. I'd also like to remind the board, the IDC was a primary recipient of the Corona Relief Funds, the CRF funds, and was responsible for $340 million of federal funding. And the finance team has spent considerable time and focus to deploy the assistance quickly. And they've done an admirable job of getting the money out and getting it out into the community. The additional issues that were that made it more complex was the problem with the shortage of talent, which I think everybody in the private sector is dealing with nowadays. The Audit and Finance Committee supports the BKD recommendation that the IEDC should adjust year-end processes, cross-train individuals to ensure that responsibilities of adjustments and reconciliations are spread across the team and done in a timely manner, and management has started that process already. In fact, the IEDC responded to a similar finding last year, and they added an additional senior accountant to the team. However, earlier this year, the IEDC had to repost the position, and they are actively interviewing candidates. To help address the concern, the IEDC is in the process of contracting with an independent accounting firm to add additional capacity, and that should help management quite a bit. To that point, the IEDC was awarded an additional $512 million of federal funds through the American Rescue Plan. $500 million of the $512 million is allocated to the READI program. It will be discussed later on. As part of the IEDC's commitment to responsibility to deploy federal funds with a strong focus on fiscal management, they awarded through a competitive bid process. Ernst & Young will be the program management services entity. The program management services include administration, system development, economic impact studies, accounting, reconciliation, and reporting. I also want to bring to the attention of the board, the Audit and Finance Committee voted and approved that, I think in the last quarter, that management to interview for a new independent auditor in fiscal year 22. And I think if there is a change made and when a change is made, coupled with the items that we've already discussed, we should adequately address and mitigate future findings. BKD is still working on the single audit, which focuses on the largest IEDC federal funded program. We should receive that in Q1. For fiscal year 21, the focus will be on the CRF funds. The Audit and Finance Committee will receive updates, as I said, in Q1, and we'll provide that information to the board at that time. BKD has reminded the Audit Committee of the attention and increasing challenges of cybersecurity, the value of protecting electronic records, and the ever-increasing needs to be cyber ready. The IEDC is somewhat of in a unique position. The Indiana Office of Technology is a state centralized information technology support agency. So the IOF has instituted an information security framework that sets policy, establishes control objectives, and describes the standards of secure information and technology resources. In addition, the IoT services, the IEDC has been proactive in contracting with local IT consulting firms to conduct an IT assessment starting in Q1. So that's independently being done by the IEDC management. The assessments will focus will be on systems, talent, and cybersecurity. Finally, we discussed the corporation and foundation budgets and improved the audit and finance calendar for 2022. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Joel. Dayton, you want to give us the Business Development Committee report?
Thank you, Mr. Governor. The Business Development Committee welcomed Ann Lathrop and met to consider an exciting portfolio of activity. Committee heard about strategic business development initiatives, reviewed the healthy pipeline of active projects that the business development team is pursuing, and approved investment awards for 7 new projects and 1 revised project. I'm pleased to report that the business development team's vital signs continue to be very healthy, as is the pipeline of projects actively being pursued. For example, accepted project wages this year are nearly 20% above the state average wage, and new capital investment is up 56% year over year. The 45 active projects in the business development pipeline also represent a potential $702 million in new payroll and $14.2 billion in new capital investment, and span across all IDC's strategic 5Es. As I mentioned, for approval before the committee this quarter were 8 projects. These projects represent over $320 million in new payroll and over $620 million in new capital investment, and they will occur in 8 different communities across the state. The IEDC offered investment tools totaling $76.01 million, consisting of programs for hiring, training, and capital investment, along with headquarters relocation. In the interest of time, let me highlight just a few. The first project approved was List Biotherapeutics. List is a researcher and developer and manufacturer of late-stage microbiome-based therapeutics, establishing operations in Hancock County. The company is committed to create 210 new jobs, make over $125 million in capital investment. The IEDC offered and we approved an investment package of $4.91 million, consisting of $3.15 million in EDGE tax credits, $1.685 million in infrastructure grant support, and $75,000 in SEF training grant funds. This project breaks even in the first year for the state of Indiana. Another project approved was the revised Project Prime. Project Prime is a processor and distributor of high-end protein products. The company is moving its headquarters from Illinois and establishing operations in Lake County. The company is committed to create 265 jobs, make over $33.8 million in capital investment. Project again breaks even in year 1, and the IEDC offered a revised investment package of $4 million in EDGE tax credits, and we approved. A second headquarters relocation project we approved was Project Solution. Solution is an orthodontic appliance designer, developer, and manufacturer, relocating its headquarters from Colorado and establishing operations in Johnson County. The company is committed to create 231 new jobs, make over $6.6 million in capital investment. The IEDC offered and we approved an investment package of $3 million, consisting of $2.25 million in EDGE tax credits and $750,000 in small headquarters relocation tax credits. This project also breaks even for the state in the first year. The final project approved was Schlage Lock Company. Schlage Lock is a leading global provider of security products and solutions, expanding operations in Marion and Hamilton counties. The company is committed to create 325 new jobs and make over $12.7 million in capital investment. The IEDC offered and we approved an investment package of $7.6 million, consisting of $7.5 million in EDGE tax credits and a $100,000 SEF training grant. This project will also break even in the first year for the state. Thank you, Mr. Governor, members of the board. This concludes my report on behalf of the Business Development Committee.
Thank you, Dayton. John, someone has to follow that every time. And the Entrepreneurship Committee always has a lot of good news as well. Can you give us the report?
I'll give you a report. It's all good news, Governor. In our November 19th Entrepreneurship Committee meeting, we approved 4 investments. And so I'll give you a little detail on each. A $750,000 investment in Woven Teams, an evidence-based hiring platform based in Indianapolis. This investment requires $4.25 million in private co-investment. We also, at the same time, approved a $750,000 investment in Conversite AI, a voice-enabled business intelligence company. The investment requires $2.25 million in private co-investment. Third one was a $500 investment in Stamus Networks, a cybersecurity company focused on network-based threat intelligence. The investment requires $500,000 in private co-investment. And I would add here that we've had a lot of success in cybersecurity, and I think we're being looked at as a real base for that kind of entrepreneurship. A fourth investment, a $500 investment in Novostale, a life sciences startup company particularly focused on treatment of bone disease. This investment requires $4 million in private co-investment. And so, again, you can see in every case there's a multiplier and outside capital being brought in. And then finally today, the committee also heard some exciting updates on the Indiana Bioscience Research Institute. The team at IBRI continues to create success and fuel the next generation of life science technology at 16 Tech. The state has, while we have $45 million in IBRI, it has a $147 million endowment because of private co-investment. And our own John Lechleiter it was a vision of his. I remember him talking to me about it 9 years ago, the Indiana Bioscience Research Institute. So it's good to see it making significant progress, and it's housed at 16 Tech. You'll hear more about it next year. So in the interest of the exciting discussions today to come later, I'll conclude my report.
Thank you, John. Mr. Secretary, you want to go right into our executive reports?
I do, and thank you, Governor, and thank you, President Danko, for your hosting us today, and Secretary Schellinger, good to see you again. Great job that you did on your watch. I'm going to hand it over to David Rosenberg. I will just say, first and foremost, I'm 6 months on the job, and I have been super impressed with this organization, and we have a lot of energy and momentum and progress and talent, and it is, this team represents the state of Indiana well, and it is an exciting 2022, and it's coming off a pretty energetic and momentum-filled 2021. So I am honored to be here as your Secretary of Commerce. David?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'd like to invite up Ann Lathrop, our Executive Vice President of Global Investments, and Andrea Richter-Gary, our SVP of Foreign Direct Investment, to present on their updates for this quarter.
Next slide. Headline for this year is 3 out of the 4 rows that you see above you. We have hit goals. And so the business development team has done an amazing job here at IDC for closing out this year. We had 5 additional projects, which is about a 2% increase over last year. The average hourly wage of jobs that we supported was $28.49, which is about 17% higher than the average state wage, and is just slightly above the average national wage as well. We had almost 1.9 million in new payroll, which is a 3% increase over last year, and we had almost $8.8 billion in capital investment, which is a 56% increase, as Dayton mentioned in his business development readout today. So it was an excellent year, and I really want to say thank you to the business development team. I won't, again, in the interest of time, these are 4 new projects that we have awarded since our last board meeting. As you can see, lots of capital investments, lots of different industries, and we're all very excited about that and look forward to FY22.
Thank you, Ann. Andrea?
Okay, good afternoon. So from Ann's presentation, you can see it's been a tremendous year for the entirety of the BD team efforts. However, we want to focus for a minute on foreign direct investment as a key and strategic piece of that pie. Often asked why we travel, why we have international offices, why the governor and secretary are so busy meeting delegation after delegation, this really shows why FDI is an intentional strategic priority to build the economy of Indiana. I'm going to get to our Indiana good news in just 30 seconds, but I wanted to highlight a few national FDI statistics of why this is a priority. 1, higher wages. Workers in international companies earn an average of 18% more compensation than the national average. 2, manufacturing. International companies supported 69% of all new manufacturing jobs in the last 5 years. Innovation. International companies spend more than $71 billion on U.S.-specific R&D. And finally, tax revenue. They represent a disproportionate 25% of federal corporate taxes. So now to this slide, that shows the foundation of why these numbers are so significant. So in addition to being a stellar year, we set 3 specific FDI records. 1 is the number of projects. We had 47 distinct international projects. This tied with 2018 for our highest to date. Second, CapEx. We had a record year and really blew away previous years with $3.55 billion. A lot of this was projects that Ann mentioned, like the Doral Solar Farm. And finally, we hit our highest average wage at $29.57. And just to show in this next slide, a lot of the effort and relationship building that goes into building that pipeline. So in 2021 alone, we had 46 international delegation visits and meetings with foreign governments, business associations. We had 20 international company visits, but that doesn't even touch the number of calls, Zooms, webinars we did because we couldn't physically have some companies here due to travel restrictions. We had 19 virtual events. This is partnering with consulates, embassies, others to really educate people on why Indiana is a premier place to do business. And although it's not quite used to the schedule that the governor has, we still had 2 international trips. You can see the governor and the secretary here with the foreign minister of Qatar. The last couple key figures, we had 40 different countries now represented in the state of Indiana. So you can see that's really important to economic diversification. That totals 1,075 plus foreign-owned companies in our state. So overall, it's been a fantastic year. We're really proud of our efforts of the whole BD team, and thank you for your attention. We're looking forward to a better 2022.
Thank you, Andrea. And now, without further ado, the reason most of you are in attendance today, it's my honor to introduce the Secretary of Commerce, Brad Chambers, to begin the ready discussion.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. When's the music start? I feel like there should be a little bit of a drum roll here. Well, today's agenda wraps up a robust economic year and concludes an unprecedented process, it is really just the beginning of a new chapter in many of our communities. Some of you may know that I recently rolled out an aspirational strategy for the future of our state's economy, a strategy we call our 5 E's, a focus on environment or the built environment, a focus on an economy of the future, a focus on entrepreneurship and external engagement. It is notable that our first E is the built environment. There is no more innovative way to invest in the built environment than by curating a grassroots, community-driven competition for statewide investment than the READI program. READI is bold, going to be nationally recognized, and a best-in-class example of the power of public-private partnership. So first and foremost, hats off to our governor and legislative body for their leadership here. While many other states are playing defense, Indiana is playing offense. Indiana is leaning into population growth, investments in workforce, investments in public spaces, investments in housing, investments in infrastructure, all in support of a stronger economy that benefit all of our citizens. So, Governor, on behalf of all Hoosiers, thank you. Secondly, thank you to our dedicated IEDC team, David Rosenberg, Mark Waske, Vincent Ash, Kurt Fulbeck, and the marketing team led by Laurel Judkins. Thank you also and enthusiastically to a very dedicated citizen review committee, Lori Luther, Bill Hanna, Jason Dudich, Isaac Bamboge, Jason Bloom, Leah Curry, and Kelly Jones. These civic leaders invested countless hours reading thousands of pages of submittals, scoring over 800 individual projects, and sitting through almost an entire week of an in-person presentation by energetic regional teams. Civic duty at its best, so thank you. While you'll never get that time back, please know it is indeed an investment in our state's bright future, and we are grateful. Last and certainly not least, thank you to the 17 READI regions. These dedicated teams representing all 92 counties worked tirelessly, strategically envisioning the future of their communities, our communities. The collaboration between separate counties and cities, between various agencies and departments, with private sector stakeholders and funding sources has been extraordinary, exciting to watch, and hopefully a foundation for continued coordination in the future, perhaps even READI 2. Thank you for your creativity, your determination, your enthusiasm, all in the interests of our great state. Of course, thank you to the IEDC board for their involvement and support throughout this important process. Governor, I know this is an eagerly awaited day for you, and I am going to get out of the way, so the mic is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary, and let me just pick up where you left off and pile on the praise to all the representatives that have come from all over the state of Indiana, representing the 17 different regions, and they in turn representing all 92 of our counties. Thank you for the incredible work that you put in. I heard for months on end just how proud you were of the collaboration that was occurring. We throw the word unprecedented around quite a bit, but there was some unprecedented relationships that were built throughout this process, and that is going to serve us well, not just over the course of the next year, 2, 3 years, but really over the course of the next decade. Also, want to give a nod and a shout out to the IEDC team. As you mentioned, Mr. Secretary, the statewide review committee that came together. I know how much effort was put into that. It's extremely thorough. As you said, this was, as it turns out, the epitome of a successful public-private partnership. When you see the breakouts of contribution, where they come from, you'll see exactly what we mean by a successful public-private partnership. It could not have come at a better or more strategic time for any state, but especially for ours. Our state's strong financial position, that foundation on which we rest currently, we're not going to rest on it. We're going to continue to lean forward and encourage that momentum. Over the course of the last 5 months, we have exceeded our revenue streams by $644 million. We'll get another forecast this Thursday. So more to come on that front, but that has enabled us to really double down and reinvest in our people and our places like never before. And Indiana is definitely ready to do more. And we're going to step on the accelerator here. We're going to step on the gas and try to create more separation between us and that competition. The first half of this meeting, what that was all about. That is a competition every day we wake up. This readi-grant program is going to help us do just that. So we're ready to seize the day. Carpe diem. We put this challenge out. All 17 of the districts said, challenge accepted. And we're going to bring our best, and you really did. And so it became a challenge to go over those 800 projects that were submitted, but they're all geared towards increasing that cool factor in our communities, making sure we're investing in talent retention and talent attraction. Secretary Schellinger, your predecessor, on his watch did a study and said one of our number one things we need to focus on is population scarcity and how do we attract more talent to the state of Indiana, grow our own, but attract more talent. This is what the READY program is all about. It's about thinking outside the box. It's about looking beyond lines that maybe artificially kept us pinned in before, city lines, county lines, partisan lines. This program does just that. And oh, by the way, it bridges that urban-rural divide that gets in the way so often in terms of other economic indicators. So this truly is a rising tide lifts all boats, statewide, simultaneous, and I would say on an unprecedented scale all at once over the course of the next few years. It enabled our state to not just think regionally, more importantly, it enabled us to act regionally. And that is going to, from the very local level, from the ground up, is going to be able to provide that local certainty and predictability and stability and continuity that is so important to investors all over the world. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you for submitting such quality projects. That's been the purpose from the outset, to see that put into action, to see all that pent up, not just interest, but investment come into the program has been exhilarating. I mentioned the 18 different projects. I mentioned all 17 regions bringing forth their best. It ended up, that $500 million ended up attracting, requesting $1.5 billion, and it attracted 10 times that, $15 billion, when we scored it all out. So obviously, your projects far surpassed those initial expectations when we were putting together the $500 million program. I too want to say thank you to the legislature. This is going to cover the whole state of Indiana, again, simultaneously on a scale like we've just never seen before in terms of funding projects that have to do with housing deficiencies and trails and childcare and broadband and wellness initiatives and workforce development initiatives, amplifying our local and state narrative, amplifying the message about how special it is that your community is and our state collectively. And so those projects adding up, again, all over the state of Indiana at the same time. And oh, by the way, as I alluded to earlier about bridging that urban and rural divide, also takes into account suburban Indiana. But all these investments will have a greater per capita investment in rural Indiana. So again, a rising tide lifts all boats. We're all in this together. And we know, as the Secretary just alluded to, we know there's more work to be done, and we know there's more capital out there. And so from South Bend to North Vernon, and from East Chicago to West Baden, and I could do this all day, this truly is turning our blueprints into beauty. And we've got the financial wherewithal to, again, seize the day, and that's what you're going to learn in detail from Jason Dudich. So without further ado, Jason, you put in, you're probably wanting to get some sleep here, but if you could just detail the actual applications and projects and how we plan to fund the plans of all 17 regions.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Secretary Chambers. As a former budget director, it's pretty awesome to announce spending money. Normally, we're asking for the other way. So as a former budget director, it's a really awesome day for us. I'd like to echo first the comments made earlier and thank the IEDC team that supported the review committee. Vincent, Kurt, Mark, David, and all others, we appreciate all the work that you did to support the review committee. In addition, the review committee would like to thank you, Governor and Secretary Chambers, for allowing us to serve on this committee and provide you and the board with the recommendations today. On behalf of the 7-member READI Review Committee, I'm honored here to announce these READI Awards. The READI Review Committee, an external 7-member citizen committee, reviewed and scored the plans based on the established guidelines and against other relevant data, including historical population trends. Roughly 60% of the READI funding is being awarded to 7 applicants in 6 regions that represent approximately 71% of the state's population. While some more rural regions are receiving smaller awards, the value of those awards on a per capita basis is significantly higher than in more urban regions. The regions receiving the majority of funding are expected to account for all of the projected state's population growth over the next 15 years. While some rural regions are projected to see population decline in the next 15 years, some of these regions have cores that are attracting people and have strong industry assets that can be used to attract more people, like Kokomo. As mentioned earlier, the total request tripled the allocated $500 million READI budget, as submissions for the 17 regions amounted to more than $1.5 billion in demand and detailed over 800 projects and programs with the potential investment of $15.2 billion. The regional development plans included housing, trails, broadband, child care and wellness initiatives, workforce development programs, and even areas to support telling Indiana's story around the world. The plans enumerated a nearly 10-to-1 capitalization leverage ratio from private and public sources as compared to state investment. As you can see from the slide above you, each region is highlighted with the total amount of funding they requested, along with the leverage ratio. And now, without further ado, I will begin reading off all the regions with their total READI award. I would ask that you please hold your applause until the end as the regions are read. In alphabetical order, the 180 Alliance is awarded $20 million. The 7040 Mount Comfort Corridor is awarded $5 million. The Accelerate Rural Indiana region is awarded $20 million. East Central Indiana Regional Partnership is awarded $15 million. Greater Lafayette is awarded $30 million. Indiana First is awarded $15 million. Indiana Uplands is awarded $30 million. North Central Indiana Regional Planning Council is awarded $30 million. Northeast Indiana, led by the Northeast Indiana Regional Development Authority, is awarded $50 million. Northwest Indiana, led by the Northwest Indiana Forum, is awarded $50 million. Our Southern Indiana RDA is awarded $50 million. South Bend Elkhart Regional Development Authority is awarded $50 million. South Central Indiana Talent Region is awarded $30 million. Southeast Indiana READI is awarded $15 million. Southwest Indiana Regional Development Authority is awarded $50 million. Wabash River Regional Development Authority is awarded $20 million. And finally, the White River Regional Opportunity Initiative is awarded $20 million. Let's give her a short round of applause for these 17 regions. Once again, Mr. Secretary and Governor Holcomb, thank you for the opportunity to serve and make the recommendation to the board.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. To our board, questions, comments, board discussion. Hearing none, move for approval. Do I have a motion? Have a motion.
Second.
And I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
Right.
Our ready approvals are complete.
All right, that's why we're here. So there being no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Folks out here.